Hello everybody, today we are back with another Real Reviews by Loukprop, and today we'll be talking about Sceneca Residences, right? It's at the Tanah Merah area. I think you'll want to see this. Let's go. Now before we begin, as usual, we'll be reviewing based on these 5 factors: location and accessibility, development quality and facilities, competitive pricing, rental yield, and stack selection. Now let's get to it. So first up, location and accessibility. So Sceneca is a mixed development that's located right in front of Tanah Merah MRT, as you can see right here, right? Sceneca is just here. So if you're talking about distance to MRT, this is as close as you can get, right? It's literally just a stone's throw away. The stone can land on the track, right? So it's really, really close. But do take note, right, that Sceneca is not an integrated development, which means that the MRT is actually not integrated into the mall or the residential area. However, even though it's not an integrated development, it's still really, really close. It's like right at the doorstep, so it's still very, very convenient for you to take an MRT from the project. Okay, now if you're looking at Tanah Merah MRT, I'll show you how accessible this station actually is. If we were to zoom out, you can see that it is one stop to Expo, all right? So if you like to go to IT shows, right, this will be very convenient for you. You'll be the first in line, right? Expo is actually interchange to the downtown line. So although Green Line itself is a direct line to the CBD area, to Raffles Place MRT station, but downtown line is also very accessible to CBD area as well. So you've got another choice if you want to go down to the CBD area. Now towards the top, you can see that Tanah Merah is actually 2 stops to Tampines MRT. Now Tampines MRT station is where a lot of amenities are. You have at least 3 malls there: Century Square, Tampines Mall, Tampines 1. You also got our Tampines Hub, which is a place where a lot of dining and amenities are, and also an integrated sports hub as well. So if you're a sports enthusiast, it will be a perfect place for you also. And as you can see, Tampines MRT is also an interchange to the downtown line, so you got another route to the downtown line also. Another stop down, you'll find yourself at Pasir Ris MRT, and if you can see here, Pasir Ris MRT will be a future interchange to the Cross Island line, which I'll talk about a little bit later. We'll add on to the connectivity of the entire area here. And from Tanah Merah MRT, if you go, let me zoom it out. If you go 4 stops down, you're at Paya Lebar MRT. Right at the end here, you can see 4 stops down to Paya Lebar MRT. And in Paya Lebar region, we know that there's a transformation going on right there. Also, it is an interchange to the Circle Line. So you've got another MRT line that's within 4 stops away. In the future, of course, there will also be the Thomson East Coast Line along this Bayshore district here. Alright, which I'll also talk about in a little bit. But this Thomson East Coast Line is actually right below this area. So it will be another point whereby it's very accessible to the Marina area, right up to the North area also. So you can see that Tanah Merah right now is within 4 stops, right, of various MRT lines in Singapore, which makes it really, really accessible. And one of the things that you notice is that it is just 2 stops to Changi Airport, which is home to a lot of aviation industries, and also one of my favorite malls in Singapore, which is Jewel Changi. Okay? So if you're talking about amenities within this area and connectivity to different lines, Tanah Merah MRT is actually a very accessible area. But if you feel like you don't want to travel too far for shopping and basic dining and amenities, actually, like I said earlier on, Sceneca will be a mixed development. So it will have a mall on its own. It's about 2,000 square meters of retail space. 1,000 square meter of it will be supermarket, and the rest of the 1,000 square meter will be the rest of the retail malls, retail stores, which will make up about 16 to 18 stores in total, right? And I'll be talking about that a little bit later as well. So it really adds to the convenience of this project itself. Now, in terms of transformation, there are a few transformations that are happening around the area, but I'll just really talk about the more notable ones. As I mentioned earlier on, there will be the Bayshore transformation also. This is the Bayshore Housing Precinct. It will be served by these 2 new Thomson East Coast Line, Bayshore MRT, and also Bedok South MRT. Now, this entire area will become like a new lifestyle destination in the east side, and is very, very near to Tanah Merah as well. In fact, it's just below Tanah Merah, and a new integrated transport hub also. Now, other than this, There is also the new Home Team NS at Bedok Reservoir, which again is really close to Tanah Merah. It's just like a few minutes drive away to Bedok Reservoir at the top. And this will be a new destination as well if you want to talk about activities that you can do recreational wise and also dining, so on and so forth. But other than these two transformations here, I think the most exciting transformation in the region will be the Changi East transformation. Now, what is that? So the Changi East transformation consists of a variety of things. So the first thing that you'll notice is that Terminal 5 will be built here in Changi East area. It will be connecting itself to Changi Airport as well. So it will be very accessible to all the terminals from Changi Airport. And they'll also be building the supporting infrastructure around Terminal 5. Other than that, there's also the new Changi East Industrial Zone. Now what is this? It's an expansion of cargo facilities in the area and also generally using more data and technology to create more of a smart air cargo hub. Now what does this do? All these, right, Changi East Industrial Zone, there's the new Changi East Urban District as well, along with T5 and supporting infrastructure actually creates a multitude of new jobs in the area, which will introduce more people into the Bedok, Tanah Merah and Changi area so that you will have a new supply of buyers in the area as well as tenants in the area also, which can only be good news for your property. So secondly, as mentioned before, there will also be two new MRT lines surrounding Tanah Merah area. The first one, of course, like I mentioned earlier on, is the Pasir Ris Cross Island line, which is 2 stops away from Tanah Merah. This will link in the future the entire east side to the entire west side, right? So it will be a whole new MRT line that will add to the convenience of this area. And also, an ongoing project that is the Thomson East Coast Line, being here, Bedok South, and also at Bayshore area. Right, so if you want to get to the north side, it's very convenient as well. And we all know that with new MRT lines and new MRT stops being built around the area, you usually bring up the prices of the surrounding properties also. Now for schools, within 1 kilometer distance primary schools, you have Bedok Green and St. Anthony's Canossian Primary School. The one pity that we have here is that it is not within 1 kilometer range of Temasek Primary School. Alright, we just missed it. It's actually at the bottom here, right? It's between 1 to 2 km. We really just missed it, and Temasek Primary School is one of the better schools around there. So that's a little bit of a pity right there. So in conclusion, whether it's in terms of connectivity wise, whether it's in terms of amenities in the area and further out, and also in terms of transformations in the area, this location in Tanah Merah is actually really good. My only complaint is number one, that Temasek Primary is not within 1 kilometer away of this project. And number two, that currently Tanah Merah is actually very far east. So right now it's not the most accessible area to, let's say, town area or CBD area. But with the new Thomson East Coast Line and also Cross Island Line in the future, it will definitely be much better in terms of connectivity. So on overall, I'll give it a score of 4/5. So now on to development quality and facilities. Now, as you can see here, Sceneca is actually 268 residential units, ranging from a 1 to a 4-bedder, as well as 4 units of penthouse units. They are 14 to 15 stories high, and they have 214 car park lots. As you notice, it's not a 1-to-1 car park lot, it's not a full 100% provision of car park lots, it's an 80% provision of car park lots, mainly because the project is so close to an MRT, so the developer doesn't need to build up to 100%. It's not a major factor here, but it's worth noting. Also, as you can see, there's 2,000 square meters of retail space. Now, in terms of square feet, that's 21,000 plus square feet of retail space. So it's a little bit bigger than what we see in Piccadilly Grand. If you remember, that was 16,000 square feet of retail space. So this is bigger, but really by not much. So now on to the developer. This developer is MCC Land. As you can see here, they do have awards here. But let's take a look at the projects that they have built thus far, right? MCC Land is actually more famously known for building their ECs, like One Canberra Residences, the Canopy, which for here they are actually the main developers for. But projects that they are not developers for, but are the main or the general contractor or main contractor for the project, you have projects like Sea Horizon, Forestville, North Wave, Queen's Peak. And talking about the contractor here, they are actually the parent company of China Jingye Engineering Corporation. So China Jingye is a sister company of MCC Land, and they have been a general contractor for projects like Universal Studios Singapore, and currently right now Mandai Rainforest Park. Right, so for big developments like this, they have been a general contractor for. But for residential projects, you can see that they've actually done these projects like I mentioned earlier on. They have also ventured into private properties as well. Projects like the Nautical, Queen's Peak here, and as a developer, they have built Toys Residences. This one is a mixed development. And the most recent one that we have seen is the Alps, which is a condo at Tampines area. So what about the qualities of these projects? Now if you take a look here, right, most of the projects here are okay, it's alright. The conquest score for most of them are above 90. And as a developer, the latest one that they have built, the Alps, you can see here, has achieved a 94.6 in terms of the conquest score, which is not bad, but it's not a conquest star. So as a developer, their best quality work is the Alps. As a contractor, a main con, you can see that China Jingye here, right, has actually built Queen's Peak, and this is their only project that has achieved a conquest star, right? So if you were to ask me, MCC Land as a developer is an average to maybe slightly above average kind of brand name that we've been hearing in Singapore, and the projects that they have been a main developer for hasn't been that big of a quality jump yet. But that is yet to be seen, right? Because they still have 3 projects that they are main developer for, which is the Landmark, Province Residence, which is an EC, and also one Burnham, right? So right now, we are taking a look at these 3 condos to see whether they are able to achieve a good conquest score, or like let's say a conquest star for any of these projects to maybe bump up their level as a developer. But for now, right, without these being built, I can only say that they are an average to maybe a slightly above average kind of developer which produces this kind of quality currently. Now, however, although the developer is average to slightly above average, the architects and the landscaping that they have gotten in are actually top-notch. We've talked about ADDP architects in previous reviews. We've also talked about EcoPlan in previous reviews, and they have won a lot of awards through the entire lifespan of their work, right? So these 2 have actually brought up the brand name of Sceneca Residences. And so far, China Jingye as a construction is not bad, right? Because that's their sister company. And lastly, in terms of facilities, you can see whatever you need in the facilities, they have it, right? You have the 50 meters lap pool here, you have the gym over here, right? As well as a clubhouse. You have all your resting pods here, some splash pools around. You also have the 2 dining pavilions right at this corner that you can book for family and friends for parties or whatever. And you also have this function room for booking as well. So facilities that you need, of course you will have it here. It's just good enough for your everyday use. So facilities wise is slightly underwhelming for Sceneca Residences. So overall, although I think it's really great that they have a mall below, which adds to convenience for your dining, your shopping needs, but as a developer track record, they are average to slightly above average kind of developer. Alright, although they do have ADDP and EcoPlan, but on overall as a developer, they haven't really outperformed themselves yet. And also the common facilities are a little bit underwhelming so far. So I can't give a really high score for this. So overall score is 3/5. So next we talk about competitive pricing. Now, if we were to take a look at Sceneca Residence right here, alright, there's a bunch of condos surrounding it, and we'll be comparing based on these condos. So if we were to do an area scan of this area, right, these are the different condos that you will see. all right? But let's compare the ones that are within 10 years of difference of age with Sceneca Residence, which will land you on these 4 condos: Grandeur Park, Eco, Urban Vista, and the Glades. So let's take a look at the price patterns of these 4 condos, right, built from 2016 onwards. So taking a look at this price pattern, the first thing that you can see over here, right, this is Eco. It was launched at the end of 2012. Shortly after, in March 2013, Urban Vista was launched. And then, of course, you will have the Glades, which was also launched at the end of 2013. Especially if you take a look at Urban Vista here, right? Since launch, it actually took a big fall after that before recovering and just hovering around this price. So these 3 projects have been hovering around these prices for the longest time and hasn't seen much growth since launch. And there's a variety of reasons why that happened. Now, if you remember back in 2013, that was the last peak in Singapore's private property market. Now, I'm not saying that if you were to buy a property back in 2013 that you will definitely lose money or not make any money, right? There were projects that were sold in 2013 that now have been making a lot of capital gain. But for these 3 projects at that point of time, there are a combination of factors why they didn't really see much growth. Firstly, Tanah Merah at that point of time didn't have any or didn't see much transformational growth in that period. Secondly, these 3 projects were actually launched at much higher than market value at that point of time, and it was a very big price gap between themselves and the resale properties around there. So without any supporting factors for their growth, their price actually came to a standstill for the past few years. All except one project, which is Grandeur Park Residences. Now, if I were to switch off all of them and see Grandeur Park Residences, all right, maybe we just take some of them as a comparison. You can see that Grandeur Park Residences since launch has enjoyed growth in prices. Now, why is that so? Because as a new launch at that point of time, if you compare with the other condos right here, they were launched within the pricing of the other 3 condos. So, a new launch at that point of time was launched at similar, if not lower pricing than the resale properties surrounding it. Now that's a very rare new launch condo pricing that you will see, that you won't see in the market nowadays. And because of that reason, by buying a new launch at resale prices, the owners were able to enjoy a period of growth since launch up until now. Also, if you can see here, it was launched back in March 2017, and we all know that from the 3rd quarter of 2017, the market actually took a rebound and prices rose until now, right? So this low pricing of Grandeur Park Residences, coupled with the fact that the market was able to move upwards from 3rd quarter of 2017, actually helped to bolster the prices up until current times as well. So the question is, can Sceneca Residences perform the same way that Grandeur Park Residences has performed? So firstly, we look at market conditions. Now, in my opinion, I don't think that we are anywhere near the peak of the market just yet. That's a different video for a different day. Comment down in the section below if you'd like me to talk about this topic as well. And also, we have talked about a few transformations that's happening in Tanah Merah in the next few years, which is a very different scenario from back in 2012 and 2013. Next, we look at the project itself. Now, Sceneca Residence is the only mixed development within a 500-meter radius of Tanah Merah MRT, which will set itself as a unique condo and also possibly setting itself as one of the iconic condos in the region. And lastly, talking about the break-even price of the land sale here, you can see that the break-even price for Sceneca Residence is 1,583 per square feet per plot ratio, which means that if a developer were to want to make a 20 to 30% profit margin, they will have to price the project at 1,009 to 2,001 per square foot. Now, if you look at the age of Sceneca Residence, it is slated to be completed in 2027, which will make it 7 years younger than Grandeur Park Residences, and be asking for a price that is 200 to 300 per square foot higher then Grandeur Park Residences. Now, in terms of new launches nowadays, that would seem like quite a reasonable pricing, 2009 to 2001, and a reasonable price gap between a 7-year different resale condo. Now, you also need to understand the fact that while Grandeur Park Residences right now is the record-setting price for Tanah Merah area, Sceneca Residence will be the next record setter in the area. So you need to really factor that into your decision when you're buying this project. So in my opinion, as a conclusion, although the transformations around Tanah Merah area is really a good pulling factor, however, the pricing right now for Sceneca Residences will be the record setter in the region by as much as 200 and 300 per square foot from the previous record setter in the area, which is Grandeur Park Residences, and in an area that historically hasn't shown much growth in price over the last 10 years. That worries me a little bit, so I can't really give it a very high score, which means that my score is 3/5. Oh, wait. If you really want to help us out, no need to pay us money. Just help to subscribe to our channel. Thanks. Okay, back to the program. So next is rental yield. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to use Grandeur Park Residences as my price comparison because it's the next newest condo there. For rental prices, as you can see here, I'm going to be using the one-bedders as well. The one-bedders can actually get from 2,006 up to 3,005 per month in terms of rental. So if we were to use that as our base, 2,006 to 3,005 as rental, and assuming that the one-bedders in Sceneca Residences will be about 2,200 per square foot, we would be looking at a price starting from 1 million to 1.18 or 1.19 million. That would translate to a 3.0 to 4.1% rental yield for Sceneca Residences, which, to be honest, is already quite a good yield in itself. But taking note that Sceneca Residences will be a mixed development and the newest condo in the area next to an MRT, I feel that we can expect the yield to be even better for Sceneca Residences. Again, we talk about the tenant pools around the area. The most obvious one will be Changi Business Park area and also the Changi Industrial Estates. And with the new Changi East development underway, we can expect more tenant pools to pop up in the area as well. So for rental yield, my score would be 4/5. Now lastly, for stack selection, as usual, we'll be basing it off of these factors. And based on these factors, here are your ideal stacks, your average stacks, and your not so ideal stacks. Okay, I'm going to explain why I chose it this way. Now, to sort of explain why I chose it this way briefly, is because based on this, you can see that this portion of Sceneca Residence will be facing the facilities of the condos behind it. So you will essentially have an unblocked view and facilities view across the project, right? And this view here, although it's noisy, right, but there's this space here that you can see across to the forested area over here, okay? And for the rest of the units they are actually facing here, although once you have a high enough level, floor level, you actually see past the MRT and also see this forested area over here, but you have to deal with some form of MRT noise, right? People hanging around the MRT station. And basically the ones that are actually facing this direction will be blocked by the units over here from the opposite condo. So there's really nothing much to shout about these units over here. So that's the basis of how we analyze the stack selection, and the score will be 3.5/5. So combining all the various scores that we have an overall score of 3.4/5, which is honestly not bad for Sceneca Residences. So what other condos do you want us to review? Leave it down in the comment section below, discuss and let us know. And if you like the video today, please go and like the video, go and share the video, and most importantly, please help me to subscribe to the channel because it will help our channel a lot. With that, I'll see you in the next Real Reviews. Bye!